I'm Andy with Competitive Cyclist, and today we're going to take a look at Campy's brand new 11-speed Gruppos, Chorus, Record, and Super Record. Relay Magazine, issue 1 or 2, I think, summed up the Campy crowd in one succinct statement. When comparing Campagnolo Record to Shimano Dura Ace, they said something to the effect of one is made in a lab by scientists, the other is born on the workbench of an artisan with grease under his fingernails. Well, based on the looks and technology of the new 11-speed groups, I think the artisans may have built themselves a nice little lab. They've made huge ergonomic changes to the levers and have improved shifting quality by adding high-tech coatings and treatments everywhere, and have also added ceramic bearings to the bottom brackets and rear derailleurs. I'm going to start by covering the general changes that were made to all of the groups and then talk about specifically what's new for each group. There's a lot to cover, so let's get started. The biggest overhaul we see is to the famed Campy Ergo lever. Unlike Shimano's new 7900 lever, which ergonomically isn't a big departure from 7800, Campy has completely reinvented their levers. When I first saw these levers on pro bikes in this year's Giro, I said to myself, wow, it looks like Campy is ripping off Shimano. But once I had the opportunity to read through the science behind the new levers, I was confident that the new Ultra Shift levers, as they're called, were an entirely new and original product. As I was reading Campy's presentation on the new Ultra Shift levers, I was amazed at the care and attention they gave them in the design process. It's almost as if they asked 100 Campy riders, hey, Paisan, how can we improve our levers? And then managed to integrate nearly every single suggestion they got. Chorus, Record, and Super Record levers were ergonomically redesigned and also mechanically redesigned. Here's a quick listing of the big changes. The levers are asymmetrical in order to accommodate the differences between a right hand and a left hand. There is 15% more contact area on the top of the lever and 10% more at the bottom. And there's actually an insert that increases the diameter of the lever near the bar for those of us who have larger hands. The Vari-Cushion hoods are exactly what they say. The rubber on top of the lever has varying degrees of softness that are based on typical pressure points created when we ride on the hoods. The cables have been rerouted to eliminate the unsightly and uncomfortable bulge created by mating old ergo levers with certain bars. The cable pull ratio for the rear derailleur was changed to reduce the shifting effort by 13%, and the front has been reduced by 18%. That means less hand force will be required to shift. You can also move up the cassette 3 cogs at a time and down toward the 11 or 12, 5 cogs at a time. Of course, Campy couldn't make all of these changes without tweaking the overall shape of the lever blade. The levers are more curvaceous and the hoods are definitely more pronounced as a result. The main reason for this change was to allow riders to shift and brake more easily while cruising along in the hoods. The high pivot of the new ergonomic brake lever does allow for more powerful and controlled braking while in the long distance position, as Campy calls it, and the outward sweep of the shift paddle makes shifting easier as well. The new curve in the lever also brings it 4% closer to your fingers, which means you'll be able to more comfortably actuate and modulate braking when you're sprinting or descending while in the drops. When it comes to differentiating Chorus from Record from Super Record, there are no real ergonomic differences in the lever. They're also quite close in the weight department. All 3 levers hover around the 330 gram mark. But like the derailleurs in the bottom bracket, it's what's on the inside that sets each model apart. Chorus levers use a system of internal bushings, while Record and Super Record internals are built with low friction bearings. The difference between Record and Chorus is smoother, quieter shifting that is also a little bit lighter to the touch. Of course, the Super Record lever also has 2 killer aesthetic touches not available on the other models. 3 carbon vents at the top of the lever to provide a little more grip, and the shift paddle is covered with a little bit of carbon fiber. While reading through the press, I noticed Campy repeatedly made the following statement about all of the new lever internals. They say the new internals are basically no wear, but serviceable nonetheless. Sounds to me like we'll be doing a few less Campy lever rebuilds in the years to come, which is definitely good news. As we move on to the drivetrain components, Campy is promising improvements in shifting efficiency, precision, smoothness, lower weight, and they've also added a few new cog sizes to their cassettes. First, Holding it all together is the new 5.5 millimeter Ultra Shift chain. The narrower chain means it's quieter, it will interfere less with adjacent cogs, and it will leap through the gears with greater agility. The Chorus version has an anti-friction treatment, a new corrosion-resistant outer link material, and solid pins. It weighs 256 grams, while the 242-gram Record and Super Record chain, which is the same chain, has all of the same features and all of the same hollow pins we've seen on Record chains for years. The new Ultra Shift rear derailleurs, in general, all feature a new parallelogram with beefed up cages and a new carbon outer plate on the Record and Super Record that is 150% stiffer than the previous models. Increasing stiffness in these areas means Campy has achieved their goal of eliminating vague and rubbery shifts by reducing the amount of play in the derailleur. As a result, the new derailleurs will pop the chain from cog to cog with greater accuracy. Campy has also perforated their pulleys to be lighter and added either bearings or bushings to make them roll smoother and faster. The 192-gram Chorus rear derailleur has all of these features, but both sides of the cage are aluminum instead of carbon, and the pulleys spin on bushings and rubber. The aluminum bits also have a new anti-corrosive coating, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later. As we look closer at the Record 11 derailleur, there's a metal carbon cage, which means the inside cage is metal, the outside cage is carbon, and the pulleys spin on low friction ceramic bushings. It's also 13 grams lighter than Chorus because they use a lightweight alloy cable clamping bolt and mounting bolt instead of titanium there. As we move on to the Super Record 11 rear derailleur, there are only minor changes, but they make a big impact. The upper body, cage, and outer plate are all the same as Record, and so is the weight, 172 grams, but they slide ceramic bearings, not bushings, into both pulleys and add a darker, more lustrous anodized finish to the metal bits for more corrosion resistance and sex appeal. Finally, the Super Record rear derailleur uses titanium clamping and mounting bolts to further the resistance to corrosive elements. The front derailleurs across the board have been updated to include 3 of Campy's new trademarked technologies. First, the Z-shape inner plate provides greater stiffness and therefore more thrust when shifting from small chainring to big. It also allows you to cross-chain without issue. The M-brace body, like the new body of the rear derailleur, increases the mechanical stiffness of the derailleur, thus improving the speed of shifting. Lastly, the even O clamp is designed to provide a wide platform for mounting the derailleur to frames that require the front derailleur to be clamped on. The Chorus front derailleur has aluminum cages and an anti-friction treatment. The Record front derailleur ups the ante by adding carbon to the outer cage to decrease weight and increase stiffness, while the Super Record front derailleur adds that dark anodization and titanium hardware to reduce weight and increase the life of the component.